What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caporoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers. The New York Jets are alive, and we're going to talk about it. How a little more tape, what happened in the Houston game, and then start to look ahead to the matchup against the Cardinals. And if we are objectively insane to even be talking about the 3-6 Jets making a run at a wild card spot in the AFC. CR, how you doing? How you feeling? First time on the feed since the Jets finally won a goddamn football game. How's it going?
It's been too long. It's great. Obviously, season stays alive. Much needed primetime win. 2-0 on Thursdays. It was just everything else they were trying to figure out on primetime. And now flexed out of their last one for Sunday Night Football. So
Hell yes. Normal schedules for everyone.
Yes, many dads or people at the age of young dads and old dads are very happy about that. I feel like I actually don't know a lot of fans left that love the primetime games anymore. It's the thing with primetime is it's supposed to feel special. So when you're playing your one Monday Night Football game or all those years the Jets were not on Sunday Night Football, it felt like it means something. And now the Jets have, after being really totally ignored for obvious reasons with key primetime games, then you get this buffet where it's like, wait, I don't want 45% of the season to be primetime games if you count the London game, which is technically a primetime game. And it's also, bad for the team, that kind of up and down schedule. You get no rhythm and timing. So it's I think it's really good news that the Jets were flexed out of that game. And I'm a little surprised because the Jets and Colts are hanging around in this playoff picture, but all is well. And we're going to talk about what this team has to do now to keep this thing interesting for the next couple months.
I've had my fill of primetime games for a lifetime. And I'm a huge hypocrite because when they had this drought, I complain about it all the time. I want to see the Jets on Sunday night. I want to see them have some players in the intro, but
you didn't want it 6 times.
No, it's been insane. And I feel like, of course, it's much worse for the players and we're podcasters, but to only have 2 games in 30 days and to have them at normal times is badly needed for everyone in the entire Jets ecosystem.
Yeah.
Just following this team and talking about them was as draining as any stretch as it's ever been, just because of the volume of stuff that happened and the games compressed on top of each other, with firing Saleh, with trading for Devontae Adams, with Reddick coming back. The team, that's a lot to go through in a very short period of time. Not an excuse to be 3-6 because they only have themselves to blame for that. And many things we've talked about a lot here, but now you have a chance for an older roster to catch their breath a little bit. Not easy games upcoming, but not impossible games either. Before we start looking ahead and peeking around at what the AFC looks like and now a very frisky Cardinals team, what are some remaining takeaways you have from the Houston game? A game that was a weird one. I mean, I really know how else to put it. They looked every bit as dead in the first half as they did in the second half against Pittsburgh and in the Patriots game. And then I think the game, our guy Escrow Sal Thomas kind of changed right before the half. It was 7-0. Houston's going in. It looks like they're going to go up 10-0 at the half. Kind of felt like it was going to be game over. Thomas sacks Stroud. He gets a little banged up on the play, out of field goal range. Or not out of field goal range, but they have to attempt a very long one that they miss. And the second half, the Jets are a completely different team. They have 3 straight touchdown drives. Rodgers looks like the guy he did in week 2. Garrett Wilson goes 2015, Brandon Marshall, and some. And just like that, the Jets really won that game effectively by double digits. And you're like, whoa, what was that? So was that a mirage? And what is sustainable from that victory? And what did you learn from it?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway to me is the defensive line really woke up. And it's a pattern of a couple things, because a lot of people will just sit there and be like, oh, well, Reddick's back. And Reddick really, I know there's the numbers out there of him having, I think, 7 pressures and a high pressure rate. Reddick is not even close to himself right now. He's not, which is okay. I mean, it's going to take a little time to get ramped up, but I thought that the pass rush really, and if you remember last year, they kind of destroyed the Texans as well and hit Stroud a lot in that game. Quinnen was phenomenal. Quinnen was unblockable on the interior. They had no answer for Quinnen. I thought McDonald's was really good in this game. And McDonald's such a fascinating case because if you showed his low lights, you'd be like, God, he's on the ground a lot. There's times where his rush is out of control. He's kind of still learning the smarts of rushing and not over rushing, but his highs are just so remarkably high that he is a very productive pass rusher. And it's not just the spin move, but the outside speed. I mean, he put a sack on a platter for Sherwood, the way he rushed the pass. Like it's funny because it felt like a couple times this year, McDonald was running up sack numbers, and some of them were really good, and some of them were, he's getting a little lucky with some of these. And then this always corrects itself at the end of the day, where at the end of the day, we look at it, right? McDonald has, by NFL actual numbers, he has 8 sacks. McDonald's going to finish with double-digit sacks. And I won't look back and be like, it took luck to get there, because you watch the 3rd and 11 rush he had against Laramie Tunsil, by the way. I mean, he totally just put that on a platter for Sherwood to clean it up, and he gets nothing. So when Reddick really gets going, and Reddick was on the ground a lot in this game, but Reddick also had some moments, now they can get after the passer, and their packages are better, right? Their packages shouldn't be Clemens on one wide edge, McDonald on the other, Quinnen Williams and somebody else on the interior. It seems like if they can get the offenses in 3rd and longs, which they do. They did this to New England and they lost the game. Like when they
couldn't get off the field.
Can't get off the field. McDonald and Reddick rushing wide with Quinnen, and kind of take your pick who the interior player should be. They're playing Leonard Taylor a decent amount. He had 10 pass rush snaps in this game, and he didn't do much with them, but that's a guy that should be a situational interior pass rusher. Now you actually have a unit that can get you off the field. And that trickle effect of, even if Reddick's not playing great yet, the presence of Reddick really, really helps, because he is getting a lot of attention. He's going to get a lot of attention, and it's going to give easier matchups for Quinnen, another interior player, and Will McDonald. So I just thought the 3rd down defense was noticeable in this game for sure. And then on the offensive side of the ball, I mean, it's crazy that it takes the Jets this long to do these things, but give your star players a chance to take over the game. It's 3rd and long. Throw it up to Garrett Wilson. Because
good things happen.
Right. He's either going to draw a penalty, he's going to make a miraculous play, it's going to be incomplete, and if there's the off chance you throw an interception, your season's so on the line anyway. Play to win. So I think at the end of the day, the Jets, for some reason at times, are afraid to let their star players on offense take over a game, where they did that in the first half with Brees against the Steelers, and then they were a mess in the second half. In the second half against the Texans, they let Garrett take over the game. So, and that's on Rodgers a little bit too. Like, Rodgers has to learn, and he is learning. I have a special player here. I got to throw it up to him and make plays. And then it's going to all course correct when Garrett starts getting more attention. You have Devontae Adams one-on-one against a safety, and look what he does to end the game. So, and I thought it was a gutsy performance by the offensive line. I mean, the fact they're throwing Olu Fashanu at guard in that situation.
He knew it was going to happen at some point. It was only a matter of time.
It's really, it's remarkable. And it was really cool listening to Morgan Moses this week talk about it. Morgan was saying that, that guys were coming up to him, like AVT in Street Clothes, and all these guys are coming up to him and, getting his confidence up, mentally preparing. And Morgan Moses also said, you guys know, right? And they knew he'd be fine, because he's like, I've seen him work since summer. He's built differently. He's been working really hard. He's equipped for this moment. That it wasn't perfect from Fashanu, but it shouldn't be. He's playing guard. He's not a guard. So I thought it was a really gutsy offensive line performance. And it was there's no sugarcoat. It was a really nice win for the Jets, honestly. It was a really nice win. I didn't come away from that game being like, what a fluky win, or they needed all these things to go right for them. They beat one of the teams that's looked at as one of the contenders, top contenders of the AFC. I thought they made the Texans look like shit in this game, and that's what the Jets should be doing more of. 4
tackles and the mullet in the middle, and they found a way to make it work. And, you do that with, Max Mitchell out there. And then on
one
defense again.
Bobby Slowick coming out and going pass against the Jets in this game. He's like off my interested in the head coach in Canada immediately.
I feel like Mixon was getting like 6 yards a carry.
It's remarkably stupid.
Part of what, and we'll talk about this more in War Room, but part of what makes me very concerned about the Cardinals matchup, especially from what I saw of their game of Chicago this past week with their ability to run the football. But look, the Jets, I understand the Texans are dealing with injuries, but so are the Jets. Like, they're down multiple offensive linemen. Defensively, clearly Sauce is hurt or not right. And then they're rotating through all of their guys in the defensive backfield, and they found a way to get it done. And when you look at the standings now, it's just like a little sickening, because if they had even just split the Patriots and Denver game, it just looks so much better. And they just, you're 2-4 in one possession games. This technically counts as one. And these things do regress to the mean. But man, even if you had just fixed kicker and all the other stuff aside, you're probably at least 4-5 right now, maybe 5-4. And if you had been this is a classic Jets thing, and this was last year with backup quarterback. We knew they needed Reddick. We knew they needed Adams. You're getting hints of what that does to Quinnen Williams and Garrett Wilson now. If you handle those things in August, like a true all-in season, and just get it done then and not wait 6-7 games and fix kicker, you really probably are like 6-3 right now. It's not a perfect, It's not like, again, it's not a perfect team. Rodgers has been up and down, but they just look different with Reddick out there, and they just look different with Adams out there. And Adams Rodgers and him finally in that second half down the field were in sync. And there was the 4th and 1 they converted where he shook the guy at the line. And of course, it was the game icing touchdown. And there's just not a lot of defenses who are going to be able to do anything about Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Devontae Adams if Aaron Rodgers looks like that. And there's going to be weeks they're going to have to outscore teams, because while the pass rush is there are still major concerns with the run game, and there's still inconsistencies with that defense. They allowed a 98-yard drive in that game. They were eventually able to lock it up, and they deserve credit for that. But this is not like a top 2 defense that is going to be blanking people consistently, and they don't turn the football over. I think they have 2 interceptions still to this point of the season. They're both from Brandon Eccles, which is an insane stat to think about. But it was progress, and they're alive. And it's not just from a pure math perspective. There's 10 teams who are effectively still in it in the AFC, battling for 7 spots. When you focus into the Jets, it's the Bengals, it's the Colts, it's the Broncos, and the Chargers. Maybe the Steelers or Ravens, one of the 2 of them starts to slide down. I don't really think so. I think it's all the teams that I just mentioned. And the Jets effectively have to go 6-2 and win the right games to be in the mix, which is insane, but it's not completely impossible. And the mini bye comes at a right time. They need to get guys healthy and need to get guys right. I don't know what's going to happen with the offensive line. It's been kind of vague on what the deal is with Simpson and with Hansen. Are we going to get Fashanu starting at guard for a game? Are they going to start Mitchell at guard for a game? They found a way to finish the game with it. Now, again, I think you're getting to the point of the season where this is part of what you got Aaron Rodgers for. Like, the Jets historically, they get killed in this game against Arizona. And I could be exaggerating, but my fan radar is when the Jets have to go west against a team that's got like a little offense, and it's like kind of like a coin flip game, or they're slight favorites. And I think this game will end with being right around a pick 'em. They just get the shit kicked out of them.
Yep.
And part of why you have Rodgers, if he's right, is that, you know what? Like, I'm pretty sure Rodgers put up like a 50 spot in Arizona in a playoff game before, and he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he's going to go out and say, look, even if Kyler and James Conner run all over you, we're going to score 28, 31 points, and we'll find a way to win, and I'll make a play late because I'm better than Kyler, and we'll get the hell out of there, and then we get to come home and play a Colts team that looks like it's on its way out, and then we all get to rest again. Before we peek a little bit ahead, what was your reaction to the Corley play, and how do you handle him going forward? Because that play, and again, nothing breaks me. I'll be doing this, and they go 0-17 the next 17 years. It was just like the last check on the bingo card. Because again, we like the pick, we like the player. It's an awesome play. It didn't even really register me in real time that he had dropped the ball early until I started talking about it. And it's truly up there in the hierarchy of like the dumbest things I've ever seen. It does not mean that you give up on the player, but it's like, what was your reaction watching that happen?
Well, I'll answer the other part